Today, I want to talk a bit about the question of what to do about career anxiety. Okay, this is a very, very big and important topic, career anxiety. This is something that I will be talking a lot more about and in much more detail in the future, but I just want to briefly address it in this episode. So, career anxiety is something that is very debilitating. It is something that keeps you from having a productive life, keeps you from developing your career and making real progress, because all that you can do is being anxious. You're anxious about your career and you are thinking about all the worst case scenarios. Perhaps you even have some regrets about your career. So in any case, you are not forward looking, but in most cases you are looking back to your past. You're thinking about all the things that have gone wrong, about all the things that you are lacking at this moment, and all the ways in which your career in the future can also fail. So what I want to talk about today is I want to start with some very simple and practical things that you can do if you are currently experiencing career anxiety, because it's really no way to live and to go about in the world. It's really unproductive, and you'll actually be wasting a lot of time if you are stuck with career anxiety to a point that you feel you are paralyzed and you cannot move and you cannot do anything productive. So there are two basic things that I think that you need to do to kind of get a hold on this career anxiety and to tackle it, at least to lessen the impact of it, right? So the first one is that you need to lengthen your time frame in terms of possibilities. And this is what I mean. One reason that I think that many people have career anxiety is because they think that at this point in their life, in their career, at this age, they should have already achieved A, B, and C. They should have already been at this stage. You think that, okay, compared to maybe this person, this relative or acquaintance or this colleague, I'm so far behind. I feel like I'm not where I should be. Compared to all these other people, I haven't achieved as much. I'm not as skilled yet. I'm not as experienced yet. I haven't been promoted yet. My salary is not that big yet. There are so many things that I am still lacking and I'm still behind. But at the same time, there are perhaps also so many things that you want to do in your life. Perhaps you're not even that happy at your current job and not that happy in your current career, but you feel like, okay, I just need to stick to it and at least make some progress with the career that I'm pursuing right now. So you're kind of trying to make it work, but at the same time, you can't really concentrate on that either, because you know deep down inside that this is not what you want to do. You want to do something else. So all these feelings kind of mix up, and that can result in tremendous anxiety. So if this is something that you're experiencing, what you need to do is you need to lengthen your time frame when you are looking at possibilities. So this is what I mean. If you only look at a very limited time frame, if you look at your life and your career in terms of the next month or perhaps even the next half year or 1 year, it seems like there's not enough time for anything. It feels like, okay, I don't have any time. I'm late with everything. I'm behind with everything. I have to rush. I have to speed up. I have to catch up, right? So if you're thinking that, what you have to do instead is you have to lengthen the time frame that you look at, and you have to realize that actually you still have a lot of time left in your life. And one fact that I want to give you is you might have heard about this in one of my other videos or podcasts, is about the fact that if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer right now, you have a very high chance of reaching the age of 100. So if you are now 20 years old, you're likely to live for another 80 years. If you're 30 years right now, you're likely to live for another 70 years. And the likelihood is actually 50%. So based on statistics. Maybe next time I will give you the exact figures, but that is more or less the ballpark. If you lead a healthy and productive life, then you have a very good chance that you can live up until that age. And that means that you still have a lot of time to do all the things. Yeah, first of all, you have a lot of time to do all the things that you still want to do. You can change careers, work in another company, move countries, and that all of those things, they don't all have to happen within the next year or even 2 years. They could possibly happen in 5 years or in 10 years. Life is long enough to do all of these different things. There is enough time if you plan well for it. So that can help with the anxiety that, okay, there's not enough time. I have to catch up. I have to hurry up. And also what you need to keep in mind is that everyone's journey and experiences is different. You cannot compare your path to someone else's path because you don't even know what they're after. You don't know what their goals are. You don't know what their history is. So there's no way that you can compare your life to their life. It would be like comparing apples to oranges, right? So if you feel that big feeling of anxiety about not having enough time, having wasted time, being behind everyone else and so on, keep in mind that you still have many years to live, and you have a lot of time to work on your career. You have so much time that just pursuing one career might not be enough, because you might even get bored in the process and you might want to do and try out other things. So by widening your horizon, widening your perspective, and thinking of your life and career of this world with vast opportunities, with so many possibilities and opportunities that you can explore, then hopefully that can reduce some of your anxiety. That was the first thing. So lengthen your time frame for possibilities. The second thing that you need to do, though, that's also very important, is that you need to shorten your time frame for execution. And this is what I mean. Okay, execution is maybe the wrong word. Let's say implementation. So shorten your time frame for implementation. So when we talk about dreaming and exploring different things, we have to look at a longer time horizon, because there is where all the possibilities and permutations lie. But if you talk about implementation, about actually putting things into practice, don't look at a long time horizon, because that will make you anxious. And the reason is because you don't know what will happen in the future. You don't know what skills you will exactly need. You don't know how the environment will change, how the world will change, and that can set you up for a lot of anxiety. So when you think about implementing things, putting things into practice, you have to shorten your time frame. And I would say that the more anxious you are, the shorter the time frame should be. So let's take, for example, a time frame of 1 month versus 1 year. If you think about what you want to do with your career in one year, what job you want to have, where you want to move to, that can still be very anxiety inducing. But if you think about the next month, think about what you need to do concretely in the next month to make progress with your career. I think that can potentially reduce the anxiety, because you have to drill down the steps. You have to break down the steps to things that are much more concrete and doable. For example, within the next month, you list down what you need to do is come up with a list of all the companies that you want to work for, and list down all the ads that you want to apply for. I know this can, for many people, still be very anxiety inducing and make them nervous and make them feel scared, but it's a task that is much more easier to tackle because it's much smaller. So what if at this time frame of 1 month, this shorter time frame, you still feel very anxious about your career? In that case, I would suggest you to shorten the time frame even further, down to a week. So like I said, if you dream and imagine all the great things that you can do in your life and career, think about the long term of all the possibilities. But if you think about what you need to implement, what you need to put in practice, just think about the next week. When things get very hard, when you're in a very rough spot emotionally, it's easier to live every day and just take it slowly. So just start by looking at the next week. Okay, next week, what can I possibly do to take my career in a better direction? That could simply be to start touching up your resume or touching up your LinkedIn profile. And that simply means that you go on your LinkedIn and you update your work experience there, right? And let's say, okay, you're still anxious about that. Somehow you still have many thoughts about, okay, how should I present myself? What should I write in my LinkedIn and so on? If you're still anxious about that, reduce the time frame. Make it even shorter to one day. This day, for example, take today. Think about a very small thing that you can do today to make your life better, to make your career better. And in relation to LinkedIn, let's just say, okay, let's just update my current job. That's easy, right? So forget about the whole history, but just update the first line of your LinkedIn. That's something that's very easy to do, and write down what your latest achievements were and what you're doing in your job. That's something that's very easy. And what oftentimes happens is that once you start that process, then it's easier to continue. What is oftentimes so scary and anxiety inducing is making the first step. Oftentimes many things are much more scarier in our imagination than they are in reality, right? So if you think about implementing things and doing things concretely, practically, you should try and shorten the time horizon. Don't think of all the things that you have to do in the next 2 years, because that can be very stressful. But think about what needs to get done in the next week or even today. So if you combine these two perspectives, lengthening your time frame for possibilities, for dreaming, for imagination, that will kind of make you feel free, because you know that a lot of good things can happen. And at the same time, for when implementing things, when putting things into action, shorten your time frame, because that will bring you down to a level, to a scope of tasks and actions that are so small that you cannot possibly miss it or not do it, because it's just so easy. So I really hope that these two things were useful to you, and that it could help you deal with your anxiety, career anxiety, better. And I just want to mention, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a counselor. These are all based on my personal experiences, personal experience in my own career and my own life. And these methods have really helped me a lot. So I hope that these will also be useful to you. Let me know in the comments what you think, and also if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments if you're listening to this on YouTube, and I might make another video out of your question. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and take care, and see you in the next video.